Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special review. I am going to be looking over and reviewing the Gripeedo grip enhancement apparatus of awesomeness. Really what we're going to be discussing is 1, what it is, 2, what does it cost, 3, how do you use it, 4, some other variations that are made of this item itself, and 5, my opinions about the tool itself. I have used it for a couple different training sessions now, and I have some opinions from a couple of the people on my team that have used it at least once, and I'm excited to see what you guys think at the end of this video. Alright, so first off, right off the bat, what is it? Well, it's a grip tool. What we have is a 4-inch diameter ball with a 12-inch shaft, a 2.5-inch diameter on this shaft. There's a pretty large hole. I'm guessing it's right about 3/4 inch hole. And then it has 4 of these fins that measure 1 inch by 3 inches tall. There is also on one of the fins a small hole that we'll cover a little bit later on what that's for. Just first and foremost, we all know what this looks like. And it doesn't help that all the terminology like the ball, the shaft, and the fins, as well as the holes, I mean, it's just not helping its case. So let's just get past that right now, get the giggles out, because it 100% does look like something you would find in some person's bedroom, maybe, or wherever they put these things. What do they have, like a pleasure room? Out of the pleasure room. Like I said, so it's a 4-inch diameter ball. What's nice about the 4-inch diameter ball is that it's big enough that you actually can't quite get your hand all the way around it. You can sort of cheat if you do some lifting. We'll talk a little bit later about different lifts. But you can sort of cheat by, getting down around it. But a 4-inch diameter ball, which forces your hand to stay open. The shaft itself is 2.25 inches in diameter. What's nice about that is the material that they used has a 2-inch inside diameter. That's convenient because now you have the option of doing deadlifting, rotation exercises in a bucket, like a bucket of sand, or you can take rotation exercises on either like a plate loading pin or a barbell or something of that variety. So lots of versatility. Another thing I want to point out real quick that I found really entertaining is this warning about not doing like extreme sports on this piece of equipment. I just found that overall entertaining. The fact that they have to put it on there, and yeah. Don't do handstands on this. I wonder why. All right, now what does it cost? Well, the MSRP for this thing, and I don't know why I say MSRP, the price online at the Gripeedo website is $129. I'm pretty sure you got to pay some shipping on top of that. A little bit expensive, but really not that bad, I guess, when you think about it. Pretty sure it's an American-made product. It is quality made, so I feel like there's almost no regrets for the quality of construction. You're definitely paying for some quality manufacturing. If you look here, the welds are actually really nice. But $129 normally. Now, today's President's Day when I'm recording this, and I'm hoping to get it posted by midday today. And if you see this video, if you go to their website right now, which is linked down below in the description box, you'll actually see that they're on sale, all variations, for $80. That's like $50 off, $49 off. So if you're gonna buy one, now seems like a really good day to do it. How do you use it? Well, like I touched on earlier, one of the ways, and I think the most common way that you see on the Gripeedo Instagram, is you just put this thing into a 5-gallon bucket or a bucket of sand or just sand material, gravel, whatever you're gonna do, and you just turn it. You push down to adjust the actual amount of resistance that there is, and you just turn it. The resistance built up by the fins is what builds up your strength, and I'm guessing your strength endurance, your grip endurance aspect of grip. While you're doing the bucket rotations, you can take it and just go straight on and do like a shoulder type rotation, forward and backwards. I think that's one of the biggest things I see is People are thinking this is a super limited product, but they're only thinking about wrenching it one way. When you wrench it one way, you can wrench it the opposite direction as well. And as long as you squeeze the hell out of this thing, you're going to get a pretty decent workout. So you can grab it on the end, or you can grab it on the side, or you can grab it just by the shaft. Grab by the shaft and just wrench on that shaft. How else can you use it? Well, like I touched on earlier, you can do some stuff with this pinhole. Now, Gripeedo makes a small loading pin, but it will work with one of these standard ones. This is my one from Rogue. It has a hole large enough for a 5/8 inch hitch pin. And the way that this gets set up is you basically line up your holes and put a pin through. Now obviously this is becoming more and more phallic and more kind of hilarious, but it's a little bit long. With me standing here, this pin just touching the ground. So with me standing right next to this thing, I can still get a hold of it and get a good enough lift to where I'm just lifting straight up. One of the common mistakes I've seen when setting this up with the deadlift is that people will use like a carabiner to try to hook into the hitch pin. You can do this, it'll work just fine, but there's a couple problems. One, the shaft is gonna not pull straight up. Like right now, we're pulling straight up on the grip piece. It'll actually be at a slight angle. And two, you're adding like 3 inches to the amount of lift that you have to give it. And if you look at where I'm at, if I lost 3 inches off of that kick, I'm pretty well limited on my range of motion. But you can use it for deadlifts for each hand. And again, you can grip it by the shaft, you can grip it by the ball. I've seen some people do like squeeze gripping exercises. You can see all sorts of different variations if you do a little bit of digging on Instagram. One thing to note though is if you do use it with a hitch pin, that you probably want to use one that has a cotter pin on the end so that if the cotter pin pulls out, you don't actually lose your loaded weight. But this right here is a challenge to actually do. Another really handy way to use this is to put it onto some sort of sleeve. Again, this has a 2-inch inside diameter, so it'll slip over the end of a barbell. In this particular case, I'm using one of the handles from my trolley, but I really like this because it's easy to adjust up and down, and I don't have to worry about securing the other end. What you do is just slide it on the end, and that's where this hole on that fin, the 1-inch by 3-inch fin, kind of shines the light. So the way that you would use this is by doing some sort of rotational exercise. So you can grab it and twist it with a shoulder rotation. You can work it up and down using the ball. Remember, this has an eccentric and concentric kind of phase. So it has a away phase and a towards you phase, or it has a clockwise and a counterclockwise. Another way I also saw is by just gripping the shaft and just rotating the shaft all the way up using both hands and then rotating back down. With this though, how do you get the resistance? Well, it's actually really simple. You can do a number of things. One, you can get a carabiner with like a string or just a piece of string and tie it up into this hole, drop it down, and you can load some weight that way using a loading pin or just tie it directly to a kettlebell. You can use, I think I saw a cargo strap where they put the cargo strap around here and then put the other end through a kettlebell and then just rotationally brought it up, rotationally brought it back down. And then I had this really good idea. I hadn't seen it before, so I don't know if I'm the person that came up with it, but I used an Elite FTS band. So if you grab one of these carabiners from Tractor Supply, this is, I think, well, let's see. I don't know how big it is. It's one of their smaller carabiners. It will actually fit through this hole. Put your band on here, and take your band peg, attach it at the bottom of the rack with the band around it. And then what you can do is actually wind it up. One thing that you want to take care of though, if you do this, if you're using a band, they're not sharp. These are actually pretty well rounded over. There's nothing really sharp on them. But obviously if you have bangs, you know you don't want them to be rubbing on straight edges, even if they're not sharp. So what I found was best is just to, like, as you do your initial twist, to flip your carabiner over so it winds up on the shaft. And again, you just wind it up until you can't wind it anymore. And then you come back down. And as you can see, there's many different ways to do this. When you get all the way back down to the bottom, just go the opposite direction. You could also do the hand one that we looked at earlier and just crank some serious tension up on this thing. And with the band, stack whatever band tension that you need to actually challenge you. Roll it back away from you. And again, you could potentially just put a string on here with some weight, and then it's more of a static weight. The nice part about the bands is that it's very dynamic in nature. As you wind up the band more and more, it's going to get heavier and heavier on your forearms. And if you do 2 or 3 sets of this, it's really going to challenge your grip endurance. It's really going to challenge your grip endurance as well as challenge just your grip strength in general. And again, you can build this to whatever tension you want. So throw a lighter band on, throw a heavier band on, throw multiple bands on. If you want to get real wild, throw like a chain, a band, and some weight. Right? Like, just get nuts with it. Have fun. That's part of the fun with this thing, is there's so many different variations. I actually can't even speak on all the different variations, but if you go to the Gripeedo or Gripeeedoooh website, they have a whole page on their website dedicated to how to use the Gripeedo. One of the other cool things I've seen as well is I've seen people hook these things up to like cable machines, and they'll do a rowing action on a cable machine or just similar things using cables. And that's, again, getting back to it, that's the beauty of this tool, is you can use this tool for almost anything. It's just limited only by your imagination as the end user. So this is the original Gripeedo, 4-inch ball, 2.5-inch diameter shaft, 1 by 3-inch pins. We have a hitch pin that's probably about 3/4. It'll easily accommodate a 5/8 inch pin. Will not accommodate a 1-inch hitch pin, just pointing that out. And then you have this small hole here. It's probably a 1/2 inch drilled hole. Accommodates most carabiners that you find on normal cable machines, as well as you can just tie a piece of string through there. There's a couple other variations that I wanted to talk about that Gripeedo offers. So, they have a 3-inch version. I think it's more targeted towards baseball players. They also have one that's basically a 1.5-inch handle. Essentially what you have is the exact same shaft, exact same fins. Everything down here is exactly the same, but instead of having a ball, you have a handle that's 1.5 inches, and you can do all those same movements where you're doing twisting actions, and I'm sure you get creative with that 1.5 inch handle as well. You might even be able to focus on lifting a lot more weight with a deadlift. They also have a Gripeedo Lite, which it basically just looks like a tiny Gripeedo. It looks like it has a smaller ball, maybe. There's no dimensions on their website for this one. It definitely will not fit on the end of a barbell sleeve. This is something that's made to go inside of a bucket for the most part. And you're just going to be turning it against some sort of resistance in material, so sand, gravel, or whatever material that you think is hard to turn it in. Probably nice for people that travel, maybe, I'm not sure. But they do have a smaller, lighter version as well. And then lastly, the one that I'm really interested in getting next is the Gripeedo hub. If you're familiar with the Ironmind hub, it's this 3-inch little welded piece of death, and it's really difficult to grip with it. Well, instead of buying an Ironmind one, I'm really thinking about buying the Gripeedo hub and just using that, because it's the exact same thing. It's not the Ironmind brand, but it's more versatile than the hub by itself, because with the Ironmind hub, all that you can do is like a deadlift. I'm sure you can get creative and come up with something else, but it's just the hub with a little D-ring on the bottom. With the Gripeedo version of the hub, you can do all of the same things. So you can do rotation exercises with it, you can do deadlift exercises with it. It just seems like a more versatile piece of equipment for what I need it for. So that brings us up to the end of the video, which is going to be my opinions about this piece of equipment right here. So right off the bat, when it came out of the box, which it was well packaged, no complaints about shipping at all. But again, when it came out of the box, everybody's first thought is like, I mean, That's a big ball on a big shaft with a big old hole in the bottom. Once you get past the initial shock of looking at this massive tool and you start to use it, you quickly start to notice some of the attention to detail that's put into each and every single one of these things. The welds that are connecting the shaft to the actual ball in the end are really well stacked. About my only real critique about the manufacturing on this thing is if you look at the hole where the hitch pin goes, on one side I mean, it's not exactly centered between the two. This doesn't matter at all. Like, for the record, this does not matter. I'm just really trying to find like one thing, and this is about all I could find, is that the hole is not exactly centered between those two fins, which is who cares. It doesn't actually affect the functionality of it at all. But yeah, that's it. So who cares? Like, it's not even a critique at that point. It's just something I noticed. Other than that, it's well constructed. It's got a nice powder coat finish to it. It's good for grip because it's not overly easy to grip, but it's got some grit to it to allow the chalk to get in there and get a good grip for you. It's a good finish. Again, the only thing I really just can't get past is that it looks like a giant dick. But overall, I just went through shoulder surgery 12 weeks ago. This has been an amazing piece of kit because up to now, the only thing that I could do for grip strength in my right hand, because I can't lift more than 5 pounds at a time, is captains of crush. And I would just do captains of crush. And it was getting really old. So when I saw this and then I got my hands on it, it was really nice because not only was I able to train grip with my right hand, it actually felt good on my shoulder, especially with these like shoulder rotations. It was almost relieving, but it was no actual tension pulling on my shoulder. It was just muscle tension holding it into position, bringing it up, bringing it back down. They advertise on their website that this thing is low impact on your body, and it really is. That's what's beautiful about it as well, is that you can use this on an off day in a bucket of sand. It's zero impact on your body, but it's probably gonna help a little bit with some of that blood flow, getting blood in to heal those muscles that you've been destroying all week. So I can't recommend it enough for grip strength. I can't recommend it enough for grip endurance. It's an amazing piece of equipment. Really, the only downside is that you have to explain to your friends when they come over to your pleasure room, also known as your garage gym, why you have this bulbous shaped shaft in your garage. But that's my video. I appreciate you guys watching. Tell me, comment down below, what do you think? The Gripeedo. One, how's it pronounced? Gripeedo, Gripeeedoooh, Gripedo? Go ahead and tell me down below what you think. I know what the owner of the company says, but I really like Gripeeedoooh. Like Gripeeedoooh for some reason, I just really like it. But this is the Gripeedo. This is the original Gripeedo. I love it. It's an awesome piece of kit. Zero regrets. If you buy it on a sale like today, you're gonna get it for $80, which is an amazing sale because it's normally 130 bucks. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you guys on my next review.